Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to In the Corners, January 11th, 2023. I didn't say the, episode number because I can't remember it off the top of
We
my
don't
head.
know where we are,
Yeah.
what number we're at.
Yeah. But all I can tell you is it's been a while. It's good to see all of you fantastic people back. I can see you through the cat. Just kidding. It's a little creepy. But honestly, so much action happened in the last week. We didn't see any action for the break. All the players had to go back to their families, say hello for the holidays and
Yes.
the new year and such. But as soon as they come back, I mean, they are just hit with a flurry of games, back to back for that showcase tournament at the Vikes Barn E&H Stewart complex. But before we get into all the cool details, Matt, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Reese, good to see you again, man. Been away forever. Last time we were
Yeah,
together, Okanagan Lakers were down here beating the Vikes. A lot has changed since then.
it's true.
You've been away on a long holiday, man. Good to have you back.
Yes,
And
sir.
you're right. We were playing hockey like bats out of hell, as they say on the
Oh, yeah.
Meatloaf album. Speaking of albums, you and I are working on our hockey album.
Yes, it's coming.
There's no limits.
No.
Everybody dance now. A lot of
Yes.
those.
All the classics.
We'll see if we can get into the studio at some time. But for now,
All right.
BCIHL. It was a great weekend.
So good. Let's hear it. All right. So yeah, we have the holidays. So if we take a look at the standings before we get into, all the results, the Vikes were in fourth place. They were 3-4-0. If you need to hear a lot more background on that, you could definitely tune into the last episode where we went pretty much a deep dive right at the end there of the whole
Right.
season. The whole first semester of this season. But yeah, they were 7 points back of the Lakers with 5 games to make up. 5 games in hand, 7 back of the VIU Mariners as well with 2 games in hand. So yeah, but real quick, there is a little bit of cheers and a little bit of appreciation for the people who helped out at the tournament, which Matt, who was there. I wasn't there because I was in Ontario, hanging out with my family. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the tournament. But Matt, who was there helping out that kind of stood out for you, in that great showcase tournament?
Well, first of all, congratulations to all the Vikes players, volunteers, organizers, and all the BCIHL teams. There was one cool moment when the Zamboni broke. I think it was
Ooh, no
Saturday. So
way.
there was a bit of a delay,
I
but in
missed so
that,
much.
yeah, you missed it. A country song almost broke out there.
All right.
But during that delay, it was cool because the Vikes players were waiting and looking on. The
Yeah.
minors players were there, and then the late game, all of those players were there standing around. So it was
Oh, beautiful.
all four teams under one roof at one time. Just cool to see everybody down there. As far as broadcasting, Lucas Thompson from the Vikes, Levi Johnson from Mariners, and Jeff Madsen, director of hockey ops from Lakers. They all did a little color analyst in the booth with me. So shout out to them.
Awesome.
And Levi scored the next day after he came up in the booth.
Oh, look at
So
that.
little
There you
little
go.
in the corners good luck charm.
I guess so.
But yeah, congrats to everybody and on a great weekend. And especially for the Vikes for hosting a great job. The league is humming along now. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely getting moving. And, all of the results that we're about to get into all implicate so much for the rest of the regular season here. And obviously getting into the good time of every hockey season, which is playoff time. So before we get into all that, let's talk about the results. So on Thursday, January 5th, VIU took a 9-5 win over the Vikes. And we're going to let Matt go right into that because, again, he did the play-by-play for this entire tournament. So, Matt, give us your analysis quickly on that introducing game, that intro game.
I'll give you a couple notes. I'll chirp in on each game. This game, Dunlop, I had him down for 8 points. The website says 7. That's near a BCIHL record.
Wow.
More on that later. But VIU were piling the goals on. Remember, before the break, Drapeau had stole a couple wins off of VIU, and he was feeling it. Well, that was reversed. Drapeau was in net for the Vikes, but it was VIU this time racking them up. The Vikes made it close. They pulled their goalie down with 3 minutes left to try and get back in it. But yeah, you scored some more goals. The real backbreaker was Earhart from VIU. He got a shorthanded goal in the second period. That was a tough one. But see, after this game, the Vikes were in tough shape because Drapeau was their ace in the hole against VIU.
Yeah.
And now that was dicey. They were 3-5 going into
Right.
Friday.
Right.
So that was a tough loss for you, Vic.
Okay. All right. Well, quickly moving on. Logan Lake also took a loss to the Mariners, so 2-0 right off the bat for the Mariners. They go 4-1 up on Logan Lake. What happened there?
Matthew Enns is a rad goalie from Logan Lake. I'll give a shout out later on for that. VIU, Ethan Jones, hat trick. Matthew
Wow.
Enns, 60 plus saves.
Holy, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Logan Lake, they're missing some players and stuff. So they did good. They did good to hang in there this weekend.
Well, you love to hear that from Matthew Enns. He's a fan favorite here at the In the Corner show. Yeah, and on that same
Absolutely.
day, January 6th, UVic got a W against the Lakers. Wow, I wonder what that means for the rest of the season. Matt, what do you think about that 3-1 victory?
Well, Vic was 3-5 going into that game. Okanagan Lakers had their number, right? 2-0,
Right.
the Lakers were.
Yep.
And UVic came out, scored 3 right away.
Wow.
Gattenby, Noah Kelly, and Braun scored in the first period. It was 3-0. Then it was Blake Pallon. Blake Pallon was a net. He got
Wow.
his first win of the season. That was a big deal. They were playing against Daniel Paul there.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
who used to be at UVic, right?
well, I heard that. Do you
Yeah.
remember him?
Yes. No, I don't specifically
Okay.
remember him, but I'm pretty sure Harry mentioned that to us. I thought.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not another goalie. That'd be a little embarrassing, but
No, you're on to something there.
yeah, I think so. Good. Love to hear that from Gattenby. He had, we were expecting some big things from him, and he always seems to deliver. So
Yeah,
that's
Reese,
Captain Gattenby.
your prediction of Gattenby leading all league defensemen in scoring.
Yeah.
Watch out, Reese. It's coming up.
I mean, people better get on the betting apps, man. They better throw a couple parlays.
Yeah, man, they gotta text you about this.
Oh
He
yeah.
is tied for league lead in defense with Kara Mischief and Morton as we
Wow.
speak.
You love to see it,
That
and honestly, I don't think he'll slow down. I think once he's
I don't
going on that
either.
consistent pace, it's just going to kind of get better and better. But again, that'll be in the future. And the last game on that Friday, January 6th, was an exhibition in Burnaby, and that was a UBC versus SFU game. Now, what do we know about that game?
Nothing.
Yeah.
SFU didn't show up to the showcase. They're the
Yeah.
champs. So they went and played against those guys.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, they lost. Moving on. Saturday, January 7th, Logan Lake Miners.
We'll see SFU later. Don't worry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely will. Yeah, on that Saturday, day after, Logan Lake take another loss, and that's to UVic. It's another home win, so that puts the Vikes at 2-1 in the tournament, 6-1 result. What do we know about that? Seems not like the closest, unless it was. What do you think?
Matthew Enns again, star goalie. I got more comments about the Miners later. UVic, first time goal scorers on the season. Hermary, Bentham, and Alex Benger. How about that? The big stay-at-home defenseman. He's a rock back there. He got his goal, so now he can pull up to the rink in a limousine, and feel good about it.
Yeah. Walk in with a little bit more confidence, and he just got himself a goal. So you love to see that.
So that was cool. That cool to see the first time goal scorers there. And now, after Thursday's loss against the Mariners, they're quickly on that 2-game win streak.
Right.
So this is the hard thing to keep track in the tournament is your favorite team's record, because the Vikes played 4 games in 4 days. Yes. So they lost 1, then they won 2 back. Now does that make them 5-5? I think it made them 5-5. Something. I think so.
No, you're right. You're right. That was yeah. Wow. So that is you're right. It's definitely like a complete almost mood change from how you went in after that Thursday game to, here we are only 2 days after. That's what you love about tournaments. So much can happen in a short amount of time. Love to see it. And yeah, by the way, going into this, and I guess this was, my kind of loss. I didn't know this had standings implications. I thought this was just like a separate tournament, you know what I mean, mid-season. But no, the result of these matters. So I love that. That gives a little bit more intensity to the season, no doubt, right?
Yes.
So love to
You
see
could
that.
feel it too. Couple penalty filled games. Friday night,
Wow.
UVic and the Lakers. It was all clogged up with the penalties. Worked in
Yeah.
the Vikes' favor. And then there was intensity. They're important. These teams were.
Yeah.
There's such a logjam there with the Lakers, the Mariners, and the Vikes.
Oh yeah.
It was an intense weekend.
Well, we might have had some technical difficulties there. I'll do some, silly editing, to show that we had a little bit of bad connection, but we're still going strong. Like the title of the show indicates, you got to go hard.
Always
in the corners, no matter
110%, even more percents than that.
More percent.
Where do we leave off, Reese? What do you want to hear about now?
We want to hear, I think we got a decent analysis in about the Okanagan Lakers loss to the Mariners. There was an 8-4 loss on that Saturday. I think we just have to go over one more game, which is a huge game. And It was the Sunday game, the last game of the showcase, and it was the Lakers taking a 5-4 overtime loss to none other than the Vikes in overtime.
That's right, Reese.
So you were at that absolute screecher, I'm sure. So how was that game? How was the building?
It was an exciting game. It was Sunday afternoon, which was rare.
Yeah.
Fourth game in 4 days. The Okanagan, they were 2 and they played Friday night, right? Vikes won that, so it was 2-1 the season series. Okanagan got the first 2 goals. Jay Thompson was a net. The nightmare of the Vikes.
Right.
But in the second period, the Vikes put it in 3.
Yeah.
Stratton Pickett got 2 goals in this game. He scored to tie the game with 5 minutes left in regulation.
Nice.
That's
huge.
Awesome
that's
goal.
Huge right there. Yeah.
So it was 4-4 after regulation. The Okanagan, I always want to call them Oklahoma. That's how Saskatchewan I am.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan and Oklahoma, they're not close together, but in some way, to me, they are.
Yeah.
I really get that. But Okanagan Lakers, the names.
Yeah.
They have really good defensemen. They're pretty deep all around. They had a tough weekend. They only got 1 point this weekend. But Gerlib and Gabruk, those guys are really good. Sick. They were big force in this game. Wallace, he got 2 goals in this game too. He's a big defenseman for the Lakers, but he plays forward. He's like a rover.
Oh, okay.
Kind of skates around, and you can't tell what position he's playing because he's everywhere.
I see.
But it was 4-4 after regulation. Blake Pilon was in net. He's running with it now, I think.
Yes.
Because he's feeling it good, and they go to overtime.
Yeah.
In overtime, they had a power play, failed to score. Blake Pilon made a huge save, and then Keenan Eddy scored with 30 seconds left in the period, in the overtime period. It was 3-on-3. So first overtime win for the Vikes. It was super exciting. They win their 3rd in a row. All right, folks. Hey, we have some technical problems here with this week's episode of In the Corners, but let's get into a few thoughts about the showcase so we can salvage this episode and celebrate this great tournament. Let's talk about each team just for a minute or two, and then I'll pass things back to Reese. Each team, 1 or 2 thoughts from the showcase going forward. First of all, for VIU, okay, the Mariners. I think over the weekend at the showcase, they really asserted themselves as we're going to be the team who's going for SFU. They separated themselves by going 3-0 in the showcase. Now they're just a couple points behind SFU, 3 points behind them. at 17 points. SFU, of course, 10-1 at 20. Also for VIU, Garrett Dunlop, he has 15 points on the weekend. He's fifth all time now in BCIHL scoring, 89 games played with 128 points. That first line cannot be stopped. It has Brock Palmer and Ethan Jones, all three in the top of scoring. 35, 29, and 23. Those are points for Dunlop, Palmer, and Jones, respectively. Connor Nolan with 21 in there for the Vikes in fifth place. And of course, Nick Wicks in third with 27. So there we go. Beating SFU. That's VIU's goal, led by that top line. Looking for their first championship. They want to do it. They're on fire. So there we go. There's VIU. Logan Lake Miners. This is the expansion team, as you know. They're 0-10 now. 110. What does that number signify? It's the amount of saves that Matthew Enns had in the showcase. He's a star goalie in the tournament. You walk around the rink, people are talking about Matthew Enns and his performance. So fantastic job. For the Miners, they're missing Carter Adams, Mason Robinson, Jacob Annis. They're missing a bunch of players from the last time they were in Victoria. So don't know what's going on with these Miners. However, there were some players who showed up nice and did a good job. I have to give a big shout out to number 16, Nose Key, scoring 2 goals. Number 3, Jaden Groom, Aiden Schaefer, and Elijah Havers were great in their defensive play this weekend. Congrats to you guys. And my first star for the Miners in their player position was number 6, Molosky. He played with the heart of gold there. He had a great tournament, lots of block shots, and led the team spiritually, the team that's winless. So shout out to you guys for showing up there. And you look good. You might be worried about being 0-10, but you shouldn't be. You did a good job down there. Okanagan Lakers, 2 points for the Lakers here. They haven't beat the Mariners so far, and that's a big deal. They're 0-2 against VIU, and they need to get over the hump against VIU somehow. Of course, against UVic, they got 2 wins off of them. But if they want to hop up in the standings and compete with SFU seriously, like VIU is trying to do, they're going to have to go toe-to-toe with VIU at some point here and beat them. Now, their overtime losses are a theme in the season. They have 4 of them. So they have those 4 extra points in losing games. You could look at it this way, though. If they had better luck in OT, they would be right up there. So hard to tell with you guys, the Lakers. I think the showcase, their identity was a little bit more lost from when we saw them and they kicked the Vikes' butt before Christmas. They took a lot of minor penalties against the Vikes, maybe lost their way a little bit, but they are a deep team. Simon Nemeth and Eric Breton are in the top 10 of scoring now. The goaltending is awesome. So watch out for the Lakers in the second half. Those are my 2 questions about the Lakers. Now for the Vikes, finally. The first thing from the showcase, Blake Pilon is winning hockey games now in net for the Vikes. He started the season 0-4. He played awesome in Oregon. Of course, that doesn't count. But they get in the regular season, it doesn't count. But Pilon goes in against the Lakers on that Friday night and wins 3-1. Of course, they beat the Logan Lake team, and then the overtime win on Sunday. Blake Pilon is on a winning streak, and for the Vikes to keep going, he's got to continue to do that. So he's feeling it good now. That's great. The second point for them is their scoring depth. Keenan Eddy, he's scoring nicely now. And also Noah Kelly had a fantastic tournament with 3 goals. Keenan Eddy likes to go on the power play. The coach likes to put him up there. That's working really well. And so watch for that. Also in scoring depth, Stratton Pickett with an unreal game against the Lakers. Finally, they're checking their team defense. They got 5 goals against versus the Lakers this weekend. That's awesome. But remember, against VIU, they let in 9. So team defense is something for the Vikes to watch out for. Reese, those are my 2 things to watch for each BCIHL team. Thanks to everybody at the showcase. I had a blast, and we'll look forward to seeing you down the road in the season schedule. Catch you later.
Well, thank you very much, Matt, for going over what was left on the agenda for the showcase tournament at the E&H Stewart Complex. And I'm pretty much going to use the last half of this episode to kind of go over the standings and the rest of the schedule going forward for the second semester of the 2022-2023 season. So obviously SFU is still standing tall at number 1. They're 10-1 in 11 games. I mean, it doesn't look like there's any signs of them slowing down. We've talked ad nauseum about this team and their domination over this league. So hopefully we can see some changes in that regard. But after that, that's when it gets a little bit interesting. So the Mariners in 12 games, they're 8-3-1. They got 17 points. And they still have 2 games in hand to the Lakers, the Okanagan Lakers, who have 14 games played. They have the most games in the entire BCIHL. They're sitting at 5-5-4, so that gives them 14 points, a perfect 500 record. But right under them, with 3 games in hand, 3 games in hand. There we go. 11 games played, 6 wins, 5 losses. So they're a little bit over 500 with that positive win record. They got 12 points, and obviously, like I just mentioned, 3 games in hand to the Lakers, which could tell you lots of things about what that can mean for, what the standings are going to look like come playoff time. But at the very last position is the Logan Lake Miners. Now, you can't blame them. It's an expansion year. It's tough. You're going into a new league, new personnel, completely different pace of play. So obviously we're going to give Logan Lake their time to get their feet nice and settled, nice and warm into the league. You know what I mean? They're coming in there with a little bit of a little cold, little unexpected lack of experience. So the result is not really shocking to us BCIHL fans, but yeah, so when we're looking at the standings here, a little bit of a kerfuffle in that second place, third place, and fourth place position. So definitely a lot of interchangeability within that. But let's move on here. Let's take a look at the schedule. So like I mentioned earlier in the episode, previously, I didn't know that the tournament would have implications on the standings, but I was, I guess you could say, gratefully proven wrong, because the Vikes had a really good performance in that tournament. So obviously that's going to do nothing but help their standings. So this Saturday, UVic get a nice little rematch against VIU, and that's going to be in VIU's barn. So that'll be a complete shit show. I don't know, honestly. That's going to be I can't make any predictions on that. They take that huge 9-5 win early on, right in the beginning of the tournament, and that definitely sets a standard for what we can expect for VIU. But they get 2 this week. They play them in Nanaimo, and then next week they play them in Nanaimo. So 2 away games in 2 weeks for VIU. So obviously they're going to want to please their fans after a very good tournament showing for them as well. So be very interesting to see what the results of that are. And moving on here, let's take a look at February. Lots of games in February. So Friday, February 3rd, UVic is heading over to Logan Lake, and they're going to be playing the Miners at their home rink for the first time. So that'll be exciting for the Vikes. Not the most exciting thing for the Miners, I'd say. I mean, you never know. I mean, this league has been a little bit up and down. A couple results have come out that have been completely unexpected. So maybe that could happen again. And then after that, so the day after, on the Friday, they play Logan Lake, and then they travel over to the Simon Fraser Bill Copeland Sports Center, which is going to be a tough one. That's a 3:45 afternoon start for the Vikes, facing off against SFU February 4th. That is going to be a very interesting game. Again, anytime you face off against that number 1 team, you want to prove to the rest of the league that you can hang in with them, right? So we'll see how that goes. Moving on, February 10th, so the week after that, Vikes come back home. They face off against the Miners. That'll be the second time the Miners have came. Technically, it would be the 3rd or 4th if we're including the showcase tournament. But in terms of regular season, that'll be the second time that they're coming to the Vikes home. Obviously, Vikes are going to want to pull another win out of there. And like I said earlier, things can change in this league. So Logan Lake could easily get their first win. Never know who it's against. You never know. Hockey is a sport where there's lack of certainties. A great example of that is when Columbus met the record-breaking Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round, and they swept them. Call it a Tortorella, call it PLD playing great. God knows, maybe Seth Jones showing out. There's a lot of aspects of that led to that result. But I mean, absolutely no one was predicting that. I mean, everybody's bracket got completely shattered in the first round. But moving on here, a week after that, so the Saturday, February the 18th, they're heading over so this will be a very big game for the Vikes. They have a game at the Lakers' home, so at the Capitol News Center, and that could have a lot of input. You know what? I might even say that might be the game that they should all circle on their calendars, because you got to show out against that team. You have games in hand with them. So once that game comes around, it'll be a little bit more equal in games played for the two. And you want to show out that, I mean, these points aren't just being handed out, right? So that is a matchup that, wasn't met with the greatest results for the first semester, but in the showcase tournament, we saw different results there. So hopefully the Vikes can kind of carry that momentum that they had from the showcase against the Lakers and use it in that matchup in February. Moving on Sunday. So not often do we have Sunday games, but we have a Sunday game right after that huge game against the Lakers, and they head back to Logan Lake for February 19th. That'll be at the Logan Lake Rec Center. And again, like I said earlier, hopefully Logan Lake can come out and, get their strides out, check little boxes on the list of things that they need to get done as a team. Of course, every team wants to do that, but for Logan Lake being a expansion team, of course, you want to start setting the standard earlier than later. And then unexpectedly, we have another game right after that. UVic gets like a 3-game back-to-back. So that'll be definitely a test of, stamina and endurance, but even more so for the fact that they're facing off against SFU. So their last game in a 3-game not Homestead, none of them are home. Also 3-game road trip, and the last team you're playing is SFU. So you almost want to save your energy as best you can. But how are you supposed to do that when your first game is against the Lakers, which is an even bigger matchup team than SFU? Then after that, you get a little bit of a breather with Logan Lake, which you don't want to go in thinking that you have a breather, because you never know. That could be a great excuse for Logan Lake to get their first home win. So definitely interesting, action-packed February coming. And I think the last 2 games here, the last 2 games of February, we got on the Friday, the 24th, they actually get to face off against UBC Okanagan from the ACHA. So that'll be great. Friday and Saturday, both at the Vikes barn. They get to host UBC. So that'll be very interesting. Obviously, more of an exhibition, I'm sure. I mean, it might have standings implications. I'm kind of learning this as we go. As we go, I'm picking up how we're doing this in terms of results. But moving on here to the last month in the regular season for the Vikes. We just got 1 game, and it's a huge one. It's SFU coming to the Vikes barn on Friday, March 3rd. So that'll be the last game going into the playoffs. That could obviously tell you lots about what could happen in the playoffs, depending on what the standings indicate the matchups are going to be. But we've got lots of action. Basically, in conclusion, we got lots of action here in the BCIHL. Lots of excitement building around this Vikes team, and obviously all the rest of the teams in the league. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We hope this episode was still sufficiently entertaining with all the, random stops and random goes. So looking forward to giving you guys another episode next week. We're going to go over the Vikes versus VIU away game to introduce this second semester. I guess you could say the showcase obviously introduced the second semester to us, but this will be the first regular season game. So lots of excitement in that. And since I wasn't there at the showcase tournament, I would like to give out a big thanks to all the volunteers and all the people who came out and helped. I knew that there was, I think it was Logan Thompson, number 81 for the Vikes. He came up and did some color commentary with Matt Good because I wasn't there, which is awesome. I love that. It's good to get all the players involved. And I mean, the best part about that is you're getting a perspective from a guy who plays and who is in the locker room with those guys. So hopefully you guys tuned into those broadcasts. Again, big thanks to Matt Good for holding the fort while I wasn't around. It seemed like lots of fun. It was a very successful tournament. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Lots of interesting things coming in these next few months. Just getting ready for that big playoff run. So yeah, tune into Hockey TV. You guys can see the VIU broadcast for the Vikes game this Saturday and next Saturday. And yeah, obviously tune into our YouTube channel, our Twitter, our Instagram. And yeah, we'll keep you updated with what we're doing on our end. So sorry for throwing about 9,000 yeahs at you. There's a lot of, brain buffering that had to go in this one because I'm staring at the schedule and talking to you guys at the same time. So, all right. Well, I'll leave you guys to it. Very excited. Like I said, about thousands of times, I'm just repeating myself. I'm going in circles now. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye now.